All right, so this tutorial we're going to go over LCD screens and how they work. First up, I did make a couple changes. Some people didn't have numpad keys, so to grab the ball, you hit numpad 1. You can also use the 1 key on your keyboard. Another thing is if you have like a secondary flipper over here and you want to keep testing the shot, so you can hit 1, grab the ball, and then you drag it and throw it. If you keep hitting the 3 button, it'll just keep repeating that shot, so you can throw it around there and kind of test it out. Anyway, a couple other things too real quick. We got stickers, so you drag these down. You can put any image on them, so I'm just going to drag in a sticker from the Metallica game here, and you'll see we have a sticker there. And these usually just go over lights, so they don't actually do much. Other than just render there and look nice, and usually you have a light there. But when you export the game, right, you put stickers over lights, so all that stuff will get printed as a sticker. It'll get cut out, and then you can just paste it right over the lights. Other thing that we didn't cover was invisible switches. So invisible switches right here with the no eye thing. You'll see this is used in the Metallica demo. If you load that file up, you'll see there's a switch there. What happens is it's just a ghost thing. It shoots through it, but it lets you know that at that location you would normally be hitting something that would cause a mechanism to like rotate, and underneath the hood it would actually have a switch make a contact. So in that case, the snake, you hit the jaw, and underneath the play field there's an actual physical electrical connection that gets made. But we don't have any ability to do that. So we just kind of put something there and just assume that the end user is going to create some physical switch later on. And so that way we have a name and something that we can interact with code. So let's go real quick then. This is the LCD screens tab here. You get a bunch of screens by default. So demo screen is the first one that loads. And if you look up there, you can see that it's on the screen there. The gameplay screen as well. So if I just go ahead and put some quarters in this game and start, you see the gameplay screen pops on by default. So we can go ahead and edit that now. So I go here, gameplay screen, I click it with the left mouse. I'm going to get rid of this. I was just showing you that there, that it will load that up, and that once you put the quarters in, it transitions to that screen. So it's a placeholder screen that exists. What we usually have is a main screen. We have like an overlay like this. So I just imported a new image, so I'm going to put it here. And the new image is full screen overlay. It's from the Metallica game. And that just kind of encapsulates the whole screen, and then there's alpha just cut out from the middle. Other things we can do, so we create those items by pressing space. As you saw there, it'll tell you when there's no items, you press space. That tooltip will always pop up. So I can put some text in, and like maybe I want to put the ball number, so I can just type the word ball, and I'll put it up here. I can resize it to be a little bit smaller, so maybe 0.15. Should maybe be a little bit smaller than that, so 0.11 maybe. Okay, so in the Metallica game it says the ball count up there. Press space again. I'm going to add static text, but this time it's going to be a variable. Now we don't have any user variables yet, we'll go over that later, but we do have some globals that we can grab. So if you type the word global and then ball number, it'll tell you on ball 1, and this is just a variable that will auto get updated by the system underneath for you. And I can just keep that there, and we'll see that update as we play. Other things you can do, so for this snake thing, yeah, we'll skip that for now. We'll go over that in a minute. There's a currency info. If you press space, currency info is another built-in kind of thing that just works for you. What this does is tells you how many coins have been inserted. So again, in the Metallica game, it's kind of up here in the corner. That way, once the first player starts, you can start putting more people in, and you can see how many coins exist in the game as you go along for adding player 2 and 3 and 4. So I'm going to just drag this up here. If I hit escape, I get out of there. Now, right now we have no coins in the game, so as I tab over, actually I think I put some coins in the game. Oh, okay, so I already bought the credits, so I'm putting more quarters in here, right? So I have another quarter. It says 2 credits up here on the left. I hit it again, it's 2.5, right? So I already put some quarters in and bought the game. Now, what I'll show you here is how you use the score footers for the players. So you see player 1, 2, 3 in here, all the way 4. That's actually just built in there. I'm gonna actually put the real footers in now. So how you do those is we tab in here, we do a score footer. By default, you always have the scores at the bottom, and then there's nothing up here because the main screen would render back there. So in Metallica, we have 4 of these. We have 1 image for each of the 4 players. The reason we do that is because if you look at like the Foo Fighters game, they're not just like the same icon that's scaled bigger and then rendered 3 other times. There's actually some, unique things you can do there. I'll show you an image here, but you see like on the side, there's 2 little icons for the Foo Fighters. So they're not actually the same image, just kind of like copy pasted. So they're 4 unique images. So I'm just going to select all 4 here, the footers I created. We're going to drag them in. And I go here and click that image. And those are called player footer 1, 2, 3, and 4. So this is the player footer 1. It looks like this. The first player is bigger. All the other ones are smaller. If I get out of here, go to player score footer 2. I'm going to do the same thing. So there you go. The second player is bigger. And again, you can, Photoshop this however you want it to be. And I can do 3 and I can do 4. So I'll just do 3 real quick. Okay, so we have 3. If I go back to player score footer 1, I can also add other things like scores. So player score, if I hit space and add a player score, I get a player score object. You can change the fonts later. We'll go over that. By default, you just get Arial. And we change the size here to like 0.12 maybe. What we want to do is make it fit this whole box as best as we can. So we'll do 0.15, I think. Now that's a little bit too big. 0.13 maybe. It's close enough. Okay, so that just kind of shows you the max digits you can fit in there. You want to scale it in there as best you can. Hit escape. I want to go back to the main screen because none of those footers render until I tell them to. So I got to go back to the main gameplay screen and I press space. I'm going to add a screen reference. And the reference is to those. So I'm just going to type player score footer 1. It'll actually grab all 4 of them. So once you do that, you now have another reference. So you can add and combine all these as you go. If I hit escape now, you actually see the player score is up here. So I must have hit a switch and it gave me points maybe when I hit this invisible one. So it automatically grabs that. It's going to start printing the score there. One other thing I can do here is add player names. So if I add a player name here, I'm going to do player and then index 0, another player name. So normally I'd go through all the footers, like resize all this text. I'm just going to do this one for now, but this is pretty standard in every single game. You want to change the player index. So it'll say player 1, 2, 3. That index is important because if you log into your system with like the outsider connected feature, that would change to an actual username that's logged in. So if you don't have these indexes set up, it's not going to work for that. I can also copy and paste these actually. Whoops, let me go back in there. So if I have a piece of text or an item, I can hit Control C and Control V, and you see it already automatically makes player 3. And if I hit Control C from player 3 and Control C and Control V again to paste it, it'll make player 4. So it grabs the previous icon, adds 1 to the player index, and this is just kind of how you can get it going really quick. Just start making these things. Same thing with player score. I can add scores that are smaller for the players that are not currently playing, and I can do like 0.12. I'm going to drag it down there. It looks like it's a little bit big, so let's make it a little bit smaller, maybe 0.9. Oh, 0.09. So if I just drag this in here, and I add it to player index 1. Now it's going to grab the score from player 1. If I hit Control C and V again, that's going to automatically grab 2. And if I hit Control C, V again, it looks like they're going to be overlapping. But yeah, player index 3 you see is there. And we just drag that down there. Hit escape. So you'll see now when you're out of edit mode, right? So edit mode, I'll go back in there. You see it's all showing the max digits. That's so you can figure out the size and placement. But when you're actually in the game, you'll see over here, if I tab, you can see it a little bigger. It'll actually show press start, press start, press start. There's no player logged in for these other ones. So again, I already have credits in. If I press start, that player pops up, and then the press starts completely switches to player score 2 now. So it automatically handles that underneath the hood for you. Okay, so I got the 2 players in. I'm just gonna hit the 2 key so I can launch a ball into play. By default, you see the light up at the bottom here to shoot again. So it's gonna keep going down till it goes away. And when it's gone, you see it automatically just switched to player 2. There's no end of ball screen yet. So what we can do is tab and hit tab key and then go to LCD screens, and there's a end of ball screen. There's nothing on there right now, so that's why it just went straight to player 2. So if I hit space and I add a movie, the Metallica game has a movie, which I'll drop in here now. Okay, so I added it, and then, oops, you just type it in here. Okay, so now we have the end of ball MP4 in there. Hit escape, and I'm gonna just launch a ball, so player 2 is gonna play, and when the player 2 is gone, we should see the movie clip play. And then once it's done, it'll finally transition to the other player. So there you go. Shows you all your bonuses for all the switches you hit and got, and it still says player 2. And now it ended, and we're back on player 1. So I reset the game. Just want to show you one thing. We have this music select. By default, we didn't do any music selection because we didn't have anything there, so it just took us straight to the game. Again, as you add these, they don't get skipped over, they get used. So if you click the music select screen, you can click this item here, and then you can get your selections for these. So I'm gonna add my Metallica ones here. So I got 4 different movie clips I just added. So one is for all the different songs that you can select. Okay. And I can add the music for the MP3s as well, which I'll just put in here very quickly. It looks like I only had 3 of them. So we have For Home the Bell Tolls, Creeping Death MP3, and Fade to Black. Okay, so now I have all these movies and all these MP3s hooked up. So if I get out of the screen and I go and put some coins in, that's going to get put on. Because I have an option in there with actual movie clips and stuff, it's not going to skip it anymore. So now this is up. And as I hit space or I hit control for the flippers, it plays those movie clips. And it's going to change the background music to the song that I selected that syncs to that movie clip. And then once I plunge the ball, it pops off and it just goes to the straight up gameplay main screen. All right, another feature in the Metallica game, if you go to the main screens and go to the gameplay screen, at the top right over here we have these letters that spell snake. So every time you hit the snake, his mouth opens, and then you shoot it into the mouth, you get a letter, and you keep doing those sequences over and over again. So you pretty much have to hit him twice to get one letter, 4 times to get the second, and then eventually you spell snake. So to do that, normally these letters light up over time, and they're based on the variable of, again, how many times you hit the snake. So if I hit space, I can do a logical animated image. So it's an image that's going to change based on the variable that comes in. So if I go here and there's a bunch of images up to 10. So I imported snake 0, 1, 2 up to 5, and it looks like this. So it's basically just a copy and paste replica of what's up in the top right, but then I colored in each individual letter for each one. So it looks kind of like this. Okay, so now that they're all in, I got to tie this to a variable. So I'm going to hit escape. I'm going to create a new code sequence. First, I'm going to add a switch. I'll just call this snake head. And then my code sequence, I'll call this snake, spell snake. And then I add a new code step, and it's going to be hit a switch. I'm going to hit it 5 times, let's say, and the switch is this one, so I just left click it, and it's going to be active. So I hit escape, I go back into the LCD screen, I go into the gameplay main screen. I'll move this in a second, but we got to tie this to a variable, so we type in spell snake and then hit dot, and it's the first step in the sequence. And then based on what type of step you have, whether it's hit a switch or a switch sequence, they all have different variables that you can grab at runtime. So here I have num hits. And if I hit that in, it's going to start grabbing and updating based on that. So right now it's 0, so it's grabbing snake 0, nothing's lit. If I take the ball, let's actually put some quarters in here so we can get it open. Okay, so I plunged the ball. And now if I grab the ball and throw it into the switch, you see S is spelled, N is spelled, A is spelled, K, and then E. I think it reset there, but we'll take a look if that's a bug or not. But that's how you do animations on the screen based on logical variables. All right, so now we're going to go over how you can load custom fonts into Pinball Designer. So if you search for BM font on the internet, you'll find BM font angel code. Go there and download it. If you can't find it, I can maybe get you a copy, or if it disappears, I'll have a copy for you. But if you go ahead and download it, you should be able to run bmfont64.exe. By default, it just shows you some loaded font and how it displays. Go up in the top left and click options. You go to font options. You want to grab the font that you want to put in here. So you can go on the internet and find custom fonts that you want. You can download them, install them to Windows, and then when you run this, it'll grab those fonts that are installed. So here I'm going to just grab the one that I use for my logo, Vermin Vibes. And then we go, you can change the sizes here. That changes the size of some of the font stuff. You can mess with it, but by default I have 256 here. Height is 100%. You can see font smoothing. Clear type is checked, and we go ahead and hit OK, and you see it loads my new font in here. And then I go back to options. I go to export options. You want to see the texture I'm going to put out is 2048 by 2048. Bit depth will be 32 because it has a red, green, blue, and alpha, so it's 8 bits each. 8 times 4 is 32. So the alpha channel is the glyph that's being rendered, and then the color of it will all just be 1 and 1, so it's going to be white. Font descriptor will go as text, and the texture will be a PNG. Compression is deflate, so we just hit OK. Again, I'm not sure what the default settings are. These are probably the ones that I have loaded. So now that that's set, you can go options, visualize, and what you should get is a screen like this. It just shows you the layout. So it's taking all those characters and making them into a PNG file. And it's just rendering everything that's an A, B, C, D, E, F, G, 0, 1, 2, 3. And then you'll get another file that'll tell you where these all exist for the A, B, C, and D. So this is just giving you a file that I can send to the graphics card that my code can then render that I wrote on my graphics card here. So go to options, and then, well, one thing is on visualize, make sure it all fits. You should have page 1 of 1. If not, then you might have to go back into options, go to export options and change, sorry, not export options, go to font settings and maybe change the size in pixels. And then you want them all to fit on one page. So anyway, go to options, save bitmap file as, and I'm just going to type this as Vermin Vibes because that's the name of the font. And what you'll get spit out is a file that looks like this. You'll get one that says Vermin Vibes .fnt for font, and another one that's the PNG image, which will be Vermin Vibes _0 because it's sheet number 0. Again, we want one sheet for the font. If you right click on the .fnt, you can actually hit open it up in Notepad or whatever. You can just see all the information for the characters and like where they're at relative to that image, the offsets, and that. If you understand what kerning is, that'll be in here to look up how the spacing between characters is. So we can just take this FNT file and copy it onto our Pinball Designer. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. When you copy the FNT, it's going to copy the image as well, and it's going to copy it to the directory so that, again, we can share this file, just upload it and share it with other people. And once it's dragged on, you'll see it pops up here. And so the fonts window up here with the A character, it'll say Vermin Vibes. So now we can use that font. It's properly loaded. So go to the LCD screens, just go to the gameplay screen somewhere, press space. I can add some static text. You see it says invalid. I can just say like my text, change it, whatever. And the font down here, you just type V, hit down on the arrow cat. So it's Vermin Vibes now. So that's the new font. I can go to the player score footer and update these if this is the new font that I want to use. So I can go here and just change all the names to Vermin Vibes for the player names. And I can do it for the score as well. Now, since it resized, the font is a different size, we actually want to resize it down. I told you this you want that to fit into the box as best it can. So about 0.12. It just helps for the sizing of it for these boxes. So anyway, that's how you load fonts.